Hi there and welcome back to the Dairy Grenadier YouTube channel for another video. Today I'm going to share an idea with you that I had about improving your impression quickly. Now, this is a video for beginning reenactors as well as experienced reenactors. Anybody can do this. Maybe it will help you, maybe it won't, but it's worth a shot, isn't it? So I might not be the first person to have this idea, I might not be the second, I might not be the third, but this is something that I thought of and I wanted to share it with you because I feel like it is helping me improving my impression for an upcoming event. So you can do this once a year, twice a year, once a month. You can do this whenever you have the time, or you can do this right after this video. But the idea that I had this idea because I have an upcoming event and my whole unit, we want to look our very best, make a good impression, really put something there that is very special and that we know we did our very best to achieve. So everybody wants to be at their best, me included, and I had this idea of picking 5 things at the very least that I want to improve in my impression. Things that might not be that important, things that other people might not notice even, but things that I feel like I could do better, or things that are just not good enough, just not good enough to be part of my impression, or things that just irritate me over time and I still haven't done because it's something so minor that you just forget about it in the meantime, and on an event you think like, oh yeah, I had to do that, and then you forget about it after the event again. So the idea is you pick 5 things that you want to improve, and you go to your very limits to try and achieve to improve those 5 things. So how are you going to find inspiration for this idea? What are you going to improve about your impression? One thing that I suggest is looking at old pictures of your impression, new pictures of your impression. Look at things that you did before that were better than what you're doing now. Look at what you are doing now that you don't like, that you can see in pictures like, oh, that's a real thing that I did, or that's something that doesn't look the part. Change that, improve on that. Do something with what you see in your own kit in pictures, because what you can see is how your equipment sits on your back, how proportions look from a distance. You can't see that in a mirror, you can't see that by yourself, but you can see that in pictures that other people take of you. Take advantage of that situation. Also, if you see a reenactor that does a very good job, that you see like, oh well, his uniform looks amazing and mine doesn't look the same, what did he do to his tunic that makes it look so good? Take inspiration from that. Look at what other people do to make their impressions good and steal those ideas. Well, it's not really stealing because everybody wants to help each other, of course. It's our hobby, we do it together. But ask them if necessary about what they did to their uniforms and take that inspiration. One other thing that you could do is lay out your kit in front of you and look at it and really think about it like, oh, is this a good thing or is it not? Is this something that could use some extra aging? Is this something that needs a small repair? Is this something that needs to be repainted? Look at it, really criticize yourself, criticize your equipment, and think about things that you can change about it. Another thing is thinking about events that you did. Really try to dig deep. Try to think of things that you noticed about your equipment that you disliked at an event. For example, maybe you had cold hands at an event and your gloves were not thick enough. That could happen. But you forget about it afterwards, then summer comes, you don't think about it at all. If you don't buy new gloves that are thicker before the winter, you are going to get cold hands again. It's very easy to forget about simple things like that. But try to remember things like that. Maybe write it down if you can on events. Take a little notebook with you, a period correct notebook, period correct pencil. Write it down so you don't forget about it. Could be a small idea as well. But try to dig deep, think about things that you want to improve on events, and change it when you have the time. So now I'm going to talk about 5 things that I noticed in my impression that I wanted to change before the upcoming event. And there's going to be more changes, but I picked 5 just to give examples. And I have begun improving these things for now, but I'm still working on it, so don't criticize me too much. But one thing that I wanted to improve for a while was the pair of glasses that I had, which are these. These are very flimsy, thin steel glasses, and they are period correct. They are originals, in fact. But the problem that I had was that they were slipping off my face when I was in the field, because they don't really have that much grip behind my ears. So I went looking for a new pair of glasses, and I bought another set of original glasses, which are these. So they have this turtle shell pattern and these hooks in the back. They sit way better, they are way more comfortable, they are original as well, and they just cost me €12.50. The glasses from my previous set fit in this as well, because it's all just round glass, 40 millimeters. So it was cheap and it is very useful. That is one thing that I changed. Another thing that I changed was something that I kept forgetting about. On my second event, I burned a hole in my gloves, in both gloves actually, but this was the worst. And I patched it up with a piece of Velcro uniform cloth. And I just didn't have the time or didn't think about it back home to change it. And I have been walking around with that very ugly piece of wool on my gloves for around 2 years. So I finally decided to actually repair it. Didn't do a very good job, but it is way better than what it was. And this is something that a soldier could have done himself. Looks way better. It is a good practice to learn some darning skills. So it is a really useful thing to do, and it looks way better. Another thing that I wanted to improve on was my winter gear, because I started to notice that I get cold at events quite quickly. It wasn't that bad yet, but the upcoming event is going to be very, very cold. Probably colder than any other event I have done before. So I needed to get some extra stuff. And it doesn't just need to be buying new things. It can also be thinking about what you have been doing for now, about keeping warm. You don't need to buy things to keep warm better. There's like little tactics that you can do to keep warm on events. So I started thinking about how to keep warm, and I did buy one new item, which is going to be this period correct long underwear. It is old, it is warm. The seller said that it is original Wehrmacht clothing, but I don't believe that. But it wasn't that expensive, and this is way warmer than anything I have had before. So that is something that is very useful, because this is something that I often forget after events, how cold I was. Another thing that I wanted to improve on was the aging of my uniform. My field blouse wasn't aged enough, my mantle is not aged enough, and my field cap is also not aged enough. And I noticed this when I put everything back on the shelf after my last event, and my Keilhosen, my M43 trousers, are aged way better than everything else, and I put it all in a big pile, and I saw the difference, and I just thought like, wow, have I been walking around with that? I know it's something that I didn't notice until now. So I have already burned my uniform. Maybe I'm going to do it again. It needs some more aging. I also took some more paint off the buttons. So that is something that I'm working on right now, doing some more aging on my uniform, so everything looks really, really good when I go to the event. And the last thing that I wanted to change at this moment was the insignia on my uniform. I put an original eagle on there because the reproduction that I had on there was not that good. After all, it was a reasonable option, but it is not perfect. I had this original lying around and I threw it on there, and it looks really, 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 really so much better. So think about doing that if you have reproduction on there. And also the shoulder boards of my uniform, the infantry shoulder boards that I have, the white ones, are Veldgrau 44, you know, the brown color. I don't like that anymore. I have grown out of it, so I'm going to get some new infantry shoulder boards. These are my Pioneer ones, but I want some Veldgrau infantry ones as well. So that's going to be it for now. That's all that I have done so far. I'm going to improve more things very soon. But I'm going to do this like once in 2 months, something like that, before every big event that I'm going to do. Think about what I want to improve. Pick 5 things, doesn't matter how small they are, just pick 5 and just do it. Just improve those things, and it's going to help make your impression way, way better. I can promise you that. If you have another way of doing this, that's fine as well. So, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any more suggestions, leave a comment down below with that suggestion, because I would love to hear it. And have a nice weekend.